In this video, I'm going to take a picture of the planet Jupiter through my telescope. I've learned a few new tricks, and as long as the weather holds out, I should be able to capture my best image of Jupiter yet. So hold on to your Barlow lenses, because tonight we capture the planet Jupiter like never before. Have you noticed that super bright star in the eastern sky lately? That's Jupiter. If you look a little closer with a pair of binoculars, you'll even notice its 4 largest moons orbiting the planet in a line. It's one of the absolute best things you can see through a telescope. Seriously, something changes in you after you see it. The best part about viewing and photographing the planet Jupiter is that you can actually see surface details on the planet, like cloud bands and the Great Red Spot. If you ever want to know where Jupiter is and what side will be facing you, just use the Stellarium mobile app. Not only will you know exactly where to look for it in the sky, but you'll also know what side is currently facing you. Then you can prepare for the Great Red Spot and when its moons pass in front, creating a shadow. How cool is that? In about a week, the planet Jupiter will be at its biggest and brightest of the year. That's because on November 2nd, Jupiter will be at opposition. At that time, the Earth will be directly between the Sun and Jupiter. It will be at a magnitude of -2.9, the brightest object in the night sky, other than the Moon of course, until Venus rises at about 4:30 a.m. This year, Jupiter will be 370 million miles away from Earth during opposition, not quite as close as it got last year. Tonight, I'll use one of my biggest telescopes to take a photo of Jupiter, the Celestron Edge HD 11. If you couldn't tell from the name, it has an aperture of 11 inches, which is beneficial for planetary astrophotography. The wide-field refractor telescopes I often use on this channel are great for nebulae and galaxies, but not so much for planets. You need some serious reach to pull these planets in for a closer look, and this one has a whopping 2800 millimeter focal length. Don't worry, if you have a telescope, any telescope, you can still see Jupiter. It's that big and that bright. The difference will be the size it appears in the eyepiece, and generally, the bigger you can see it, the better. Rather than looking at Jupiter through my scope, I'll be recording a short video to increase my chances of capturing a sharp, single image. The reason a video file is best is because it gives you a better chance of capturing a sharp, single image frame, or better yet, thousands of them. This is how the best planetary astrophotographers do it, and I've been getting better and better at it myself. If you're hoping to take a picture of Jupiter yourself, you have a few options, but having a telescope that tracks the motion of the night sky is best. You can also try pointing your phone into the eyepiece of a non-tracking telescope, but you'll need to hold it super steady and line it up just right. Without tracking, the more magnification your telescope has, the faster it will move through the eyepiece. It's kind of cruel, actually. That's why I have this big telescope on a polar-aligned, computerized mount that can accurately follow objects for an extended period of time. On the topic of magnification, I am going to double the reach of this already deep telescope. The native focal length of this telescope is 2800 millimeters, but I'll use a 2x Barlow lens to double that to 5600 millimeters. I know, it's bonkers, right? This is a simple 2x Barlow lens I bought on Amazon. The increased magnification is great for a larger view of Jupiter, but it makes finding and tracking the planet even trickier. The camera I'm using is a ZWO ASI462MC, a color-dedicated astronomy camera meant for taking pictures of planets. It has a small, highly sensitive sensor that can capture a high frame rate, and that's really important for this type of astrophotography. This one can shoot up to 130 frames per second, although I've never been able to top about 60. The image scale using this camera with the Barlow is about 0.1 arcsecond per pixel. I've been told 0.2 is the sweet spot, but I can't remember where I heard that. If the video looks a little soft, I'll try it without the Barlow to see if that's any better. I've been using fire capture lately in place of the ASI Air for the actual image capturing stage. It's funny because I still use the ASI Air to run the telescope mount, I just swap out the camera I'm using. I realize this may look a little confusing, but hear me out. Fire capture can take .sur file format videos, which I'm told is the best option. I also feel like there's a bit more control over the camera settings in fire capture over the current ASI Air planetary imaging mode. My current planetary astrophotography process involves bringing out my old laptop computer and setting it up on this cooler. The perfect table with refreshments inside. I use my phone to control the telescope itself via the ASI Air, and there's really not a whole lot to do other than a quick polar alignment and then sending it off toward Jupiter. If I have to recenter the planet after 20 minutes or so, no sweat. I can easily do that in the app. Okay, it's almost time to start shooting, and fingers crossed that we get a night with good seeing and transparency. I spent a very late night with my telescope capturing the best videos I could of Jupiter. The skies were typical for my location, and you can see how wavy the planet looks in the live video. I know this isn't the best place in the world to capture planets in detail, but I can at least maximize my effort from here. The new strategies I've employed are to focus on capturing the fastest frame rate possible and to use a Barlow lens. The trick to achieving that high frame rate is using the ROI, or region of interest tool, in fire capture. The smaller this box is, the faster your camera can record frames. After comparing the images of Jupiter I got last night with the ones I took earlier this month, I actually think my 14-inch Dob is a better choice for planets. The extra aperture and faster f ratio seem to outweigh the annoyance of keeping the planet perfectly centered on that tracking Dob base. So I'll be busting out the FlexTube 350p for my next round in place of the Celestron Edge 11 HD. Here's a look at the image processing stage of the process in Registax. The image here is a stack of the best 1000 frames from my video. Registax lets you dial in the detail using these handy wavelet sliders, and it really comes down to a matter of taste here. Of course, AutoStacker and Registax can only do so much. The overall quality of your planetary image really depends on the quality of your skies and your approach. I'm slowly improving my techniques by studying the guys I look up to, the planetary photographers like Christopher Go, Damian Peach, Matt Smith. Okay, time for the reveal. Make sure you get outside this month and take a look at Jupiter at its best. And until next time, clear skies.